Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Yeah, it's we have to take care of our own business. This game is extremely important to us. As the next three will be. So, like every year, you're just trying to add up as many as you can. I think our guys understand that, this is basically a 4-game season for us, and we've talked about that as far as, what we need to do to get to where we want to be.
Yeah, there it is. Zimmer pepping everybody up. Monday Night Football tonight, because many of you may be listening to this or watching this after Monday Night Football. We're not going to do a whole lot of Bears-Vikings preview stuff here, but we do have some Vikings stuff to mix in for Monday. Statements, Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, therapy, sometimes loathing. Judd's on the COVID list. He has made it through the weekend here, and I don't think his wife is going to go on a Twitter spree like Baker Mayfield's wife, unless I missed something in the last hour or so.
I'm looking good, though, for a guy with COVID, right? I mean, look at this. Look at this look.
You look a little ashen. A little ashen.
I am a little ashen. That's accurate. Peak.
I like the V.
Peak it.
I like the. Is there no shirt underneath that little zip you got? That quarter zip there?
No.
Good for you.
No, he's got.
Oh, there is a shirt. There is a shirt. Dang.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No.
I think it's probably best for everyone.
No, I would never subject the masses to that. It's a little bit low, but it's new, so I'm not quite sure why it's low.
Okay.
It shouldn't be as low as it is.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, just be careful. You don't want to stretch that out. You don't want bacon collar.
Little John Travolta for me.
Yeah.
Stay alive, baby.
No.
1970s guys. 1970s.
All right, let's get the statements here before this gets wildly uncomfortable with Judd dressing like 70s John Travolta.
Staying alive.
So here's my first statement.
Yeah.
Looks like Ravens backup quarterback Tyler Huntley has piqued the interest of a lot of Vikings fans.
Okay.
I did a Twitter search this morning for Tyler Huntley Vikings. Now, if you missed it, Tyler Huntley has played. He has started 2 games this season for the Ravens. He has played large chunks of 3 games. And the Ravens are 1-2 in those games, but he looked great leading them back from down 2 touchdowns against the Packers yesterday. He was undrafted out of the University of Utah, but he won 20 games over his last 2 years in college, and now he's giving you some mobility, and he's been a pretty accurate thrower. And when you search Tyler Huntley Vikings on Twitter, it's a lot of Vikings. Did you see Tyler Huntley? When the Vikings hire Greg Roman, who brings Tyler Huntley with, then trade Cousins to upgrade the defensive line with the remaining cap money, then the Vikings are going to be amazing. Vikings, let's get Tyler Huntley on the other purple and gold team. So what do the Ravens want in return for Tyler Huntley? Asking for current and future Vikings general managers.
Yep.
To what extent, if Kirk Cousins says, guys, I just don't want to do this anymore, I'm not going to restructure my contract, just do what you want with that information. How much does Tyler Huntley pique your curiosity?
He only piques it if Spielman is fired first, and here's why. Rick Spielman, Tyler Huntley, to be clear, Utah quarterback, undrafted, okay? So everybody could have so let's go back to, oh my God, I've got 15 draft picks. How creative am I going to get this time? Who am I going to take? You never know what I'm going to do. I just made another trade for 16 picks. And oh my God, what's going to happen? And we always talk about, oh, it's great. Rick has all these picks, right? Because the ability then exists to what? Diamonds in the rough, right? When it comes to quarterbacks, again, I will go back to what I keep saying. He can't find them. But
nobody found him.
No, I know.
He was undrafted.
That's my point is Rick is the guy that accumulates picks because he's smarter than the rest of the room. And so therefore he was going to be the guy. He should be the guy. He's the poster child for I find guys between the margins. In fact, I give seminars on finding guys between the margins. How do I do it? I'm Trader Rick. I'm a magician. The point is, Tyler Huntley fits into a system that has nothing to do with what anybody currently associated with really drawing up how the Vikings operate on the field works. And so a quarterback like that intrigues me greatly if you've got the right people in place. And that starts with the people who find a guy. The Ravens, again.
But are you ripping Rick for not having drafted Tyler Huntley? Or are you ripping Rick and the Vikings for like they would have no ability to mold their system to Tyler Huntley.
One is he prides himself on being the guy that finds these guys, and he doesn't. The second thing is the Vikings would have zero ability to know what to do with this kid if they did get him. All of these things are major problems. So to me, this entire conversation stems to who's the GM, who's the coach, who's the OC, and now we can go about finding a quarterback that makes perfect sense for this team.
I would say they've done a great job molding their system to Sean Mannion. I don't know why you have to be so critical.
Exactly right. Well, look at this. Part of the reason why there is no question Kellen Mond can't play right now is because they're not running a system that fits him at all.
Are they even paying attention to him in
practice? We don't think so.
Like they have to be so hyper focused on the Cousins offense.
But like
right
Vikings
now.
fans, I saw the same thing on Twitter on Sunday, and I feel bad for fans because fans are rightfully so watching kids like this play, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's what we should be doing, right?" But that would be like going downstairs to your parents and saying, "I love, some band." And your parents were like, "What band's that?" I don't know. I don't care. Because the Vikings are stuck in a 1970s station wagon, and you're like, "Oh my God, let's get this new hot car." So it doesn't work until you actually have people that identify with, hey, Kellen Mond does this well, or Huntley does this well. So I really think this entire conversation goes to why change is necessary.
Here's more from Tyler Huntley, Vikings Twitter search. Tyler Huntley is really good. Hope the Vikings are watching. Baltimore's Tyler Huntley looks great in purple. Hint, hint, Vikings. I'm just saying. #Skol. Tyler Huntley for Vikings QB1 in 2022. Vikings plus Tyler Huntley. Think about it. ... Damn, Vikings need to pick up. I mean, it's literally, I'm reading these amazing, one dude. After another.
Sure.
It also kind of shows you, Kirk Cousins is probably a top 3 quarterback in Vikings history, depending on what you want to do with 1 year of Brett Favre and, peak Dante Culpepper. And the celebration of the Kirk Cousins era shows you how quarterback starved we've been, right? Like we haven't had that 10 or 15 year guy since basically Tommy Kramer and Fran Tarkenton. So Declan, what would you? What's your level of interest in? If Kirk says, "Guys, I really only care about getting the most money possible. I don't care about helping your salary cap situation." So, plus, I don't know. I'm kind of sick of this. I just want to go. I want to go play for Kyle Shanahan or something. What would you trade? Would you give?
I would trade. No, I would not. I would give.
You don't
here's
give
the
a first round pick for anything.
Him,
you wouldn't give up a first round pick for Mike Tomlin.
For Mike Tomlin, and no one should. No one should be giving up a first round pick for Mike Tomlin right now. That is.
Really got to hold on to that Garrett Bradbury selection.
You're not going to have to give up a first round pick for him.
No, yeah, exactly. You don't have to do that. But to the Tyler Huntley point, with him playing now, it's added bonus that the Ravens aren't just going to give him away. Now, teams are going to come calling for him in the offseason because Lamar Jackson will be healthy and he's still their franchise quarterback. But Huntley is probably going to require, with the way he's playing right now, probably at the very least a third-round pick. And Huntley was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Florida. He went to Utah, played pretty well, played as a true freshman there even as well as splitting time. If I'm the Vikings, I would give up a third-round pick. I'd give up a third-round pick for Tyler Huntley next year, easily. Totally
I don't think there's any way they would trade Tyler Huntley for a third-round pick. They would be absolutely at this point, whether he's a long-term option or not. I think they would demand a first-round pick because the only teams calling would be desperate for starting quarterbacks. Here's my take on this. I think I would much rather have Tyler Huntley or Gardner Minshew at $1 million a year or far less than $30 million a year than a good, not great quarterback who has a top 3 cap hit. I think you have a better chance to win big with Tyler Huntley. Maybe he's limited. Maybe he's showing you the best version of himself, and there's some flaws that prevented him from getting drafted, whatnot. Or Gardner Minshew, maybe he's 6-week hot stretch guy. But I think you have a better chance of winning big with those guys making far less money than paying a good, not great quarterback money. So, yeah, I'm making the call. I'm at least feeling it out.
The call.
But the Vikings, as currently constructed, can't make that call. But
they're not going to be constructed like this. I think we're all does anyone disagree that they're?
I think I'm not positive Rick is gone, and I'm not positive he's going to get booted upstairs. No.
So you're saying
I
if
think
Rick
Zimmer's
Spielman's
gone.
still the general manager,
Yes.
that he shouldn't pick up the phone and call?
I don't think he
Baltimore?
knows how to. I'm saying I don't think he's capable of making the call because he doesn't understand what he's watching there. This is
I
where
think
you
your
need a
criticism
complete
of Rick has jumped the shark in this case. Because what we're saying is, Rick, we're doing the work for you. Baltimore did the work for you. Here's a guy that's already been mostly developed over the course of 2 years. They've ironed out his throwing issues from college. So if you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You just have to hire a head coach that can work with Tyler Huntley or whoever the next quarterback is.
All I'm saying is that beyond Norv Turner finding Teddy for Rick, Rick's ability to identify quarterbacks is off the charts concerning and arguably really bad. And so I don't want him grading, judging. I don't want him making a call to go buy something that I'm not sure he knows what he's looking at. I don't trust myself. I mean, Huntley might be great. He might be Jacoby Brissett. We don't know. And we've only watched a little bit. So if I want somebody who's going to make the phone call and shoot their shot, I want it to be somebody who knows a lot more about the quarterback position than Rick Spielman.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair.
Like you got to have the concern.
You
here,
make,
man.
but like you make Rick. I am not by any means putting Rick on a pedestal as like a Hall of Fame general manager. You make Rick seem like the most incompetent general manager in the NFL when you talk about
because
it.
he thinks
and that's not correct.
It's not correct. But the problem with Rick is he thinks he's smart, and people who think they're smart are often very dangerous because they're not nearly as smart as they think. When you accumulate the amount of draft picks,
But Judd, he builds good rosters. Like
He
you
does.
make him sound like a buffoon.
when you accumulate the amount of draft picks that Rick builds and puffs his chest out for saying, I got all of these picks, it's imperative that the Huntleys of the world are guys you then draft late because that's what you're priding yourself on. He can't do it. He doesn't know what a quarterback looks like. That's why he went and got Kirk. Kirk was the finished product off the lot, man. He was the most expensive car off the lot. I want someone who can identify. This is a very tough job. And by the way, I am not saying for 1 second I could do it. What I'm saying is I know you can find people who have a far greater chance to shoot their shot and be right when it comes to the most important position in sports than Rick Spielman.
So you want a GM that doesn't think that they're smart?
I want a GM who knows their strengths and weaknesses. Rick only sees his own strengths. Phil, you've seen this in our business. There's nothing more dangerous than a cocksure person, and you're like, and you can sense, oh, you don't really know what you're talking about. You can
but again,
identify
like,
smart.
but
I
Rick,
can.
but if you rank the Vikings rosters and competitiveness over the last like 15 years, easily top half of the league, easily, maybe even like top 8 rosters,
Right.
and you make it sound like he is this incompetent fool who's like overly confident and yes, there's flaws, but like to say that you don't trust him to touch anything is crazy to me.
He's an incompetent quarterback evaluator, which is very concerning.
But there's only like 5 guys that have turned out to be really, really good quarterbacks. So like naturally, 75% of the GMs in this league haven't been able to identify the franchise quarterback.
I mean, there's like most GMs are incompetent quarterback evaluators. I actually think finding Teddy Bridgewater and Kirk Cousins, like in the absence of getting lucky and landing
But he didn't
Aaron
find
Rodgers,
Teddy.
like
Norv did.
okay, but he was
found
part of
Ponder.
But he created, like, he hired a coach that
infrastructure.
hired Norv, like. So he has to make every single decision by himself, or he doesn't get credit, or can he hire people that know quarterbacks like Norv?
No. At this point in time, I don't trust. No, Mike hired Norv. Like this stuff all tracks back very simply to.
So Rick gets
people.
no credit. Credit for Mike Zimmer and Norv Turner.
I think Rick Spielman would be a very nice assistant GM, helping a really good GM construct a roster.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
That's what I think. I think that Rick would be, but I mean, we can't forget that Rick's first shot out of the box when and by the way, Brad Childress, a much better evaluator of roster talent than coach. Rick's first shot post Brad was Christian Ponder.
Yeah,
that's a strike forever, man. That's a strike forever.
I agree.
And Norv's the one that had to tell all of those guys, calm down about Teddy's pro day. I'll go figure this out.
I mean, but does Rick get credit for finding Case Keenum? Like who is an atrocious quarterback when given starting opportunities.
Rick gets credit for the one thing that if you stick around long enough happens to everybody. A rabbit's foot. That was a 1-year deal.
And it's so because I feel like
coach said this ain't real.
I feel like I'm sitting here like defending a family member or something. I don't think like I'm not going to die on the hill if the Vikings move on from Rick Spielman. I feel like Judd had painted him in a light that is.
I think he's an incompetent
overly aggressive.
He's an incompetent quarterback evaluator, and therefore he can't evaluate offenses right, and that's a huge problem because he hired a coach to stop offenses.
All right,
he
Declan's shaking his head. Okay, Declan,
I can't find it.
All right.
What do you mean he's incompetent of finding an offense, dude? What is that? What does that mean?
They do have a top 5 offense yards per play right now.
They have playmakers all over this off. They have found Irv Smith. They found Justin Jefferson. They found Adam Thielen off the scrap heap. You ever heard of him? He's from Mankato. They have found guys all over the damn place.
Thielen's from Minnesota.
Yeah, did you hear about that?
Declan.
And
Thielen showed up out of his own volition at a tryout camp, and the coaching staff liked what they saw. Let's see. Justin Jefferson. 4 teams took wide receivers, and he fell to me. He fell to you in your lap. That's not a credit. But other teams passed on him and didn't think. Of course they did, and they're dumb too. What I'm saying though is we know Rick Spielman at this point, and the shortcomings in 2021 going into 2022 outweigh the positives. That's what I'm saying. And like when you're talking about Vikings Nation's excited about this QB, we should go get him. I'm saying, hold on a second here. Let's pull this thing back and let's go build the foundation of the house right before we put on the nice addition that is so welcoming and warm and costs us a lot.
I think everything you just said in the last 30 seconds, I agree with that. At this point, the positives and the negatives, you could say that okay, offensive line, come on, guy. I mean, but then again, what Rick would turn around and say is, I mean, I've been spending 1st and 2nd round picks on offensive linemen, and I expect them to reach their full potential, and they haven't because of the coaching staff. But then you could say, yeah, but you were the one that hired the head coach and kept him around for 8 years.
He did a fine job.
At the end of the day, I think I agree that it's probably just time for some sort of reshuffling of the front office at minimum. Mm-hmm. But I think that's where we agree. And then you take the ball and sprint 100 yards further with Rick Spielman should never work in football again because of how incompetent he is.
He's an incompetent quarterback evaluator, and that to me, I don't want to continue down this path. That's it.
Okay. All right. Statement number 2 goes to Judd Zulgad.
Statement number 2 is this: after a weekend of watching games, and this, just to be clear, goes well beyond John Harbaugh's decision to go for 2 and fail in the game against the Packers yesterday that ultimately cost Baltimore a chance to win, okay? Stop being stale. Going for it on 4th down and goal, which is now become the trend, and going for it on 2-point conversions. And I know you old school Mackey and Judd football people hate that, okay? But listen to me for 1 second. That's not the problem. The problem is this. What I am now calling the plays of hope that are called subsequently on after those decisions are made is the problem. If you're going to make a decision to do something that is the newfound, hey, the book says now do this, then what you need to do also is say, okay, what's the best way possible to execute what we're going to do? Look at the amount of play calls that we are seeing on 4th and goal. When you are up against the goal line, and I know that fans think, well, you're close. That's an easy score. It's actually more difficult because you don't have room to work. Your room to operate is very, very small. And we are seeing play calls that are basically just your run-of-the-mill, we'll just run this play. Can you not think of something else?
Are you ripping the Huntley, the rollout to the right to one route that was covered by 3 guys?
I am ripping a variety of routes and a variety of decisions that I have seen made, which are standard, ordinary, run-of-the-mill play calls for a decision that takes major cojones and should be backed up with a play call where at least occasionally you're like, oh my God, that was really ingenious. That was something I didn't see coming. And instead let's just bash the ball up the A gap. Okay, you get stopped. Let's try and have our quarterback roll right and eliminate a good portion of a field that's already condensed. What I'm saying is the play call is the problem, not the decision. We're all so focused on they never should have done that. Well, no, actually, I like what they did. What I don't like is how they tried to execute the play.
I think every play should just be a Philly special. Like, I think the Philly special should just be every single 2-point conversion. Also, I think you're going to whiff on some of these. Like, you're going to go for it on fourth down. You're going to whiff on 40 to 50%, even the best teams. And I think the controversy in that Ravens comeback yesterday was analytically the right decision would have been to go for 2 on the first touchdown. So when you're down by 14, and people ask, well, why would you go for 2 then? Why wouldn't you score a touchdown, be down by 7, and then score another touchdown and then go to overtime? If you go for 2 the first touchdown, then you can win the game outright before going to overtime against Aaron Rodgers with the second touchdown with an extra point. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get the 2-point conversion, you can still tie the game on the second touchdown with a 2-point conversion. So that's why that was my criticism yesterday. I don't know, like it's how many plays can you run?
That's the thing
from
is,
a yard and a half out.
That's
like
the
how
thing.
you can't get too creative. You don't want to go horizontal too much, right? So
right, but again, these people do nothing but watch film and football. They don't care about their families. Christmas, they don't care. They work through COVID probably. There are probably a lot of plays to run.
Don't you think they've exhausted the catalog? Most of these teams?
No, hell no. Football
what do you think they're doing away from their family for 100 hours a week?
Football people have not exhausted what somebody somewhere. There are more plays. Like you can't. Why are you basically the big play now? Fourth down, okay. Fourth down, we got to get this. The big play now is let's bring in the heavy package. There's more than that to life.
I love the heavy package. I will criticize football. The Ravens yesterday. That was weird. They roll Tyler Huntley out to the right. So now they've cut off basically half the field. And actually Rex Ryan laid this out on Get Up this morning with Greeny and some of those guys. That's cool. If you're going to roll them out, that's fine. But apparently rollouts on 2-point conversions only convert like 36% of the time. You might think, let's get our mobile quarterback on the run, but because you're closing off half the field. Yeah. The other thing he said was, why would you only have one route? They had Mark Andrews, and that was it. And there was a drag coming across like from the other side, but it was behind the play. So they only had one receiver basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the drag was actually the play. And I think a veteran quarterback could have stopped and thrown it back across. But anyway, what I'm saying is if you're going to do this, have a creativity to it as well that at least surprises teams. Nobody's surprised right now.
I love COVID scorched earth Judd today. This is great.
Yeah, me too. I
was going at every front office, every coaching staff.
I spent 3 days watching sports and realizing the overall incompetence coming through my television, and I'm tired of it.
The Vikings are now a top 5 offense, and Judd's like, they can't identify offense.
He can't identify quarterbacks.
Not at all.
He's not getting that credit. He cannot identify quarterbacks.
I know. Kirk Cousins now has the longest active streak of 25 touchdowns.
No, I'm saying, but
all you do is rip Kirk Cousins.
I don't rip Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, I hope he just stays healthy as possible.
Okay.
All right, Declan, statement number 3 here.
All right, my statement from yesterday's Sunday Night Football game. Mine is, come on, Tampa Bay. The highest scoring offense in the league. 11-point favorites against New Orleans. They were 11-point favorites at home against that Saints team. And you put up 0 points. And that helps the Saints now climb back to 500. They've now mucked up more things in the NFC wildcard picture. Taysom Hill was begging Tom Brady and Tampa Bay to win that damn game. Taysom Hill is not a very good quarterback. And Tom Brady still could not come up with anything. And I know they lost Godwin. Leonard Fournette went out. He lost some of his top 3 weapons. I get that. But it's Tom Brady, dude. I still think that Byron Leftwich, Arians, and the Buccaneers still would be able to cook up something enough to put away the New Orleans Saints. And the temper tantrum on the sidelines, I don't care about that at all. It's Tom Brady, dude. It's the greatest quarterback of all time. If Baker Mayfield is throwing the tablet and acting like a little baby and throwing a hissy fit, different story. It's Tom Brady. If he plays pissed off, he plays like that all the time. He cares about winning that much. So the tablet throwing and getting all pissed at the other sideline, I don't care about that. But now the Saints, to close the season, have the Dolphins, Panthers, and Falcons. Very easily path for them to possibly win out the rest of the season, which means the Vikings, that puts pressure on the Vikings to potentially also have to win out if they finish with a similar record. So that loss, I think, mucks up things a little bit more in the NFC and forces the Vikings to definitely have to win 3 of these 4 games, if not run the entire table for the next 4. So come on, Tampa Bay, making things more crowded for the Vikings' chance to make the wild card spot.
It's great. It's crazy down there. Crazy.
It's going to get crazier in the next couple days because, I'll get my next statement piggybacks off Declan's, which is yesterday was bad for the Vikings' playoff chances. And Declan laid out some of this. So the Niners won yesterday. They moved to 8-6, and they have a head-to-head tiebreaker over the Vikings. So they're pretty much a lock for the 6th seed. Oh, I guess I wouldn't say lock yet, but the Niners are in good position right now. The Saints moved to 7-7. They'll be favored, like Declan said, in their last 3 games. And the Vikings are also fighting off Washington and Philadelphia, who play each other tomorrow and then play each other again later on in the month. So the Vikings need at least 3 wins. Now that the Saints won and the Niners won again, the Vikings need at least 3 wins in their last 4 games, maybe even 4. And then you have to cross your fingers on tiebreakers. So it'd be one thing if the Saints were like well below 500 in conference, but they're back to 500 in conference. Weak schedule down the stretch. So 9 wins and 10 wins probably gets you in, but are the Vikings going to sweep their last 4 games?
I hope you don't count on that.
3-1 seems like a tough ask with that game at Lambeau. I mean, if the Packers are playing for the number 1 seed, they're not going to like sit Aaron Rodgers in that game. So, oofda. All right, back to Judd.
All right, from scorched earth to an apology. My statement is I'm sorry.
Apologize to Rick Spielman.
I'm sorry.
How hard you were.
No,
early
hell
in the show.
no. I'm so smart. Watch me be smart. No, I will apologize.
With my buttons unbuttoned.
Yeah,
showing my chest.
I've got a list of questions that I ask kids. Jeff Gladney, are you a good guy? Yes. Okay, I'm going to draft you. No, I'm sorry. We all owe an apology to the Green Bay Packers. All right, because for I think the 2nd consecutive year, I was like, this Aaron Rodgers thing is a glorious mess, which it was. But this is going to be the year. I mean, he might not play. They might not recover if he does play. 11-3, a division championship, 3rd straight. Matt LaFleur now, gentlemen, regular season record, 37 up, 9 down. He has not even lost 10 games so far as the head coach. The Green Bay Packers, look, I thought you were going to fall apart. I really did. I thought this was going to be the year after thinking 2020 might be it. No, I'm sorry. Green Bay Packers.
Are they the most likely team to win the Super Bowl at this point?
Oh, boy.
Especially if they get home field. If they get home field, I think they're the favorites. Yeah.
Right now,
KC.
Right now, I think they're the favorite to come out of the conference. But the more I watch games, I mean, this league is bizarre. So, like, I watch the Packers and I see their defense, and I think statistically it stacks up. But then I watch their defense with the eye test, and I'm like, oh, boy, that one bad day and they're done. What makes this league so fun is the same thing that makes individual games hard to watch, which is there's just a lot of dreck. Like, there's some really good plays, but there's a lot of dreck. And if that dreck rears its ugly head on the wrong day, you're basically toast. So, yes, I would say that the Packers are the favorite to represent the conference in the Super Bowl. No, I would not put much on that right now.
They look so good. There was a throw Rodgers made in that game over the middle. Like, I mean, just like throws that you would never even attempt if you're any other quarterback. And he's just throwing it in there.
And he makes them look so damn simple.
Yep.
Like, it's like, oh, yeah, of course he made that throw.
Little flick of the wrist, like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I've exhausted my statements because I have a lot of Wolves statements I want to save for the back half of the show. So why don't you guys fire off a couple last statements here?
Yeah, I got one. It's please don't cancel the Winter Classic. Please do not cancel the Winter Classic, NHL. There's no backup plan for the Winter Classic if it gets canceled. They've been on the record on that. If it gets canceled, they're not going to like move it a week up or move it a week back or anything. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. COVID cases are piling up in the NHL. Teams are shutting down for the holiday break. I'm actually not even opposed to the idea of the NHL shutting down for the rest of the month and coming back with the Winter Classic here in St. Paul. And people even close to me, sources, have told me that NHL and league people who are already in town building this rink and who are in town are basically quarantining. They're not going out to restaurants. They're staying in Minneapolis. They don't want anything else to spike and possibly cause this game to be canceled. And the Wild deserve this. The state of hockey deserves this. They've been trying to get a Winter Classic, an outdoor game like this for a long, long time. So I just hope to God that this doesn't get canceled. Also, selfishly, I have tickets. And my brother and my brother's coming to town, so I want to go to the damn game.
That's what this is about. That's
so really bearing the lead a little
deserves
bit.
This is what you meant to say.
I want this. I want this to happen, dude. I want this to happen. So please don't cancel the Winter Classic. Otherwise, we're going to Judd's. Me and brother Liam are going to Judd's, and we'll just we'll hang out at your place.
I'm sorry. My house is infected with COVID. I can't take you guys.
I think
I apologize.
I texted my brother. I said, we'll just go hang out with Judd. And I said, there's a better chance of the Vikings winning a Super Bowl before Judd willingly lets me and you into his home.
You guys could go watch at Bunny's if,
unless you're like
Judd's
Dukes
COVID's no
and
longer
you just
raging.
barge in. Dukes just barge in.
That's true. But I at least.
Gophers.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you.
So there was a press release put out Sunday night. The league has decided that they're not going to shut down, but I think they shut down Detroit, and so Thursday's game here is canceled or postponed. And they did shut down crossing the border. The Winter Classic, Dex, I think you're fine. I think here's the problem: crossing the border because Canada does not mess around is the issue here. And it's not the league like, oh my God, we've got to be careful. It's the Canadian government, which is really strict. So I think you're fine. I do think it's going to get to be, if this surge continues, it's going to get to be very dicey though about teams going to play in like Calgary, Toronto, blah blah blah. So that's your problem. But I think your game, January 1st, I think that's fine. All right, my last statement. Darrell Bevel won his first game. And now you're saying, but Judd, the Jaguars lost. How did Darrell Bevel win? Well, let's just say this. By losing to the woeful Texans and by having the woeful Lions shock the Arizona Cardinals, the woeful Jaguars went from the 3rd overall pick in the draft to number 1 yesterday and now have a chance to hold that. So by losing the game, Bev did his employer a great favor because why not? If you suck,
he's not going to be around. He's not going to be around to work with whoever.
He won't,
that
but who
pick
cares? Is. If I'm the Jags, I'm ecstatic. Keep losing, baby. Keep losing. Like Detroit.
They should have kept Urban around if they wanted to keep losing.
Like Detroit's
Daryl's going to coach him to a win at some point.
Dan Campbell's like, we won a game, and they're all like, yeah, we're tumbling down the draft pick a little bit. Thanks. Dan.
I love what the Lions are doing, man. Like the Lions don't need any more number 1 overall picks. The Lions need to just get going. Dan Campbell, there's a 2-minute speech in that locker room on the Detroit Lions Twitter account. And it is full Dan Campbell. He's got the hat. He hasn't showered in 6 days. He's got the hat all sideways. And the first words out of his mouth were like, welcome to Detroit. Like, this is how we
know what's going
to
happen
right here. This is Lions football.
This is going to become the Dan Campbell special. Bad years until this point, and then now we're coming back. Now we've won. We've set the tone for next year. Dan Campbell is going to set the tone for the following year until he's fired.
Lose 9 straight games to start the season.
He's going to be like,
10,
Christmas, it's a Christmas win.
They're always going to mix in a couple ties,
I'll never forget the worst Vikings win I think ever was the Christmas Eve game. Peterson's knee gets torn up. Ponder got hurt, right? Joe Webb came in Washington and replaced Ponder. And the Vikings were trailing. They come back and win. And Les got asked a few questions like, okay, Peterson's hurt. It's really bad. You won a game you really didn't need, and Les is like, it's a Christmas miracle. We won. This is great. And we're all like, Andrew Luck, this isn't great, Les. Les, it's not a miracle.
See if you blame Rick Spielman for all this stuff. If Leslie Frazier doesn't pick up that inexplicable victory, Rick Spielman drafts Andrew Luck, and the perception changes forever. And Luck doesn't get burnt out after 5 years.
Or does he not get him an offensive line? And the same thing that happened with the Colts happens with the Vikings.
Could happen.
And now we're ruining the story of Andrew Luck.
Dex, give us a non-spoiler Spider-Man statement.
Dude, it was one of the greatest cinematic experiences I've ever had.
Wow.
The nerd in me, the nerd in me was all in. I am not, and I broke a cardinal sin that I've never done in a movie theater. I clapped during scenes at a movie. I clapped. Yeah. I clapped at the movie theater at two specific scenes. I don't like to do that.
Did other people clap with you, or were you?
Oh yeah, there was other people. No, there was other people clapping. In fact, there was a couple scenes where even they clapped, and I was like, okay, that's not worthy of a clap yet, guys. Come on. But then there was other scenes that were. It was an incredible movie. The fan service that they did for anyone who loves any of the Spider-Mans ever, you will love it. You will absolutely love it.
Did this thing rake in like $250 million at the box office this weekend?
Yeah. It was incredible. It was incredible.
For one weekend?
Mm-hmm.
During COVID.
I was masked.
Worth
but
it.
It was
sure.
so damn good, dude. It had everything you wanted. It was incredible.
People are saying it's the greatest Marvel movie ever produced. And I've only seen like a handful of the Marvel movies. So I'm not the one to speak on it.
It edged out Infinity War in terms of money, which is pretty impressive. I think Endgame is still the highest grossing Marvel one. But this was right up there for me. This was right up there.
Wow,
it's damn good. Go see it.
I'm trying to think. I've definitely applauded. I applauded at a Bond movie one time. I might have been the only one. There might have been one other guy. I'm not really sure. But when the audience starts to clap during the movie, it's. So, all right, those are your statements here, Mackie and Judd, on this Monday Night Football Monday. You might notice that we omitted the hottest team in the NBA from statements. That's because we're going to devote a big chunk to the